Hey y'all. Hey, how is everyone? I've been trying to record this video for like days. This is actually a response to a comment made on my last video. I believe the name is Avery Chilco, and I appreciate your comment. We're gonna talk about octaves. We're gonna talk about octaves. Octaves are pretty much notes that are 12 semitones apart. So an example is, if we're choosing G, well, the octave of G is another G. Or I can take this G and I can count 12 half steps or 12 frets up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that is an octave from here to here. Now, having that in mind, we know what octaves are. Now let's get into me actually explaining how to locate an octave without trying to spread your finger from this point to 12 frets up, and you want to play them at the same time like that, all right? And you can pretty much see how my hand is positioned. It's pretty much just understanding the placement of where the note is in reference to the initial note that you choose. I will start off by saying this: don't overcomplicate this. Don't overcomplicate playing guitar. Just look at it for what it is. Yes, there is a learning curve. Yes, there are things to commit to memory, but there are ways to reference what you either already know, okay? Or in other words, you can maybe reference something, you can relate it to something that you already know to help you memorize things on the guitar, okay? So what I want us to first imagine is a window. Think window, okay? I could say a shape, but I want you to just think about a window like this, okay? The window could be a square or a rectangle, more so in a horizontal sense, all right? And let's just say that strings on the guitar, which are horizontal strings, okay, overlapping vertical frets. All right. So think of those horizontal strings overlapping vertical frets as like a graph or a grid. All right. Think about coordinates and things like that. So in this grid of 9 squares, this 9-square grid, we're going to say that there's a window with 9 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. And let's just say, and I have to keep in mind, you guys are looking at me, so I might be explaining this backwards, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to nail it. All right. But so me explaining this is actually top left, but for you it's top right. Okay. So for you, the top right is going to be the reference. All right. The bottom left is going to be the thing that is determined by the reference. Okay. All right. So let's think about top right square, bottom left square. So we got that part down, right? Okay. If you think in that way, this explanation may be relatively easy, perhaps. All right, so now let's keep this in mind as well. I want to plug this in. You already know what an octave is in a way without knowing, if you already know your major scale and or minor scale. Now I started from the G, okay, which is the 3rd fret on the E string. The scale started on G and it ended in G. So that's really the first way that I could explain how to find an octave. Now, the way you play an octave, you have to maintain this hand position. That's how you maintain the shape of playing octaves on a guitar. All right. In the same way that if you're playing an octave on a piano, you have to maintain that distance of your finger distance to kind of make sure that it's hitting correctly on the piano. All right. A very similar thing applies on the guitar. Let's go to our three lowest strings. Okay. Our three lowest strings are D, A, and E. All right. So I don't think I named this before, but E, the lowest string is E, and we're going to go up. Okay. E, A, D, G, B, E. And if we do it the other way around, it's E, B, G, D, A, E. All right. I'm just going to say the three low strings are D, A, and E. So keep those three low strings in mind. And let's keep these like 3 frets in mind. Now, the 3 low strings and the 3 frets is going to be like your grid that I was talking about. Okay. And we're going to choose the G as a reference point. Okay. So that G is going to be the reference. And to find the other G, you're just going to go to the opposite end, the opposite corner of that window. All right. And the way that you do it, again, keeping in mind that this is a 3 fret width. So not counting the square that you're starting in, you're going to go 2 frets over, or in other words, a whole step over. Okay. And then go 2 strings up. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That's pretty much how you find the octave. Okay. Now some people would say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know, if that works for you, cool. But just know, whatever note you choose, the opposite corner of that window is where the octave is. And it's going to be to the right if you're going up. If you're going low, it's going to be to your left. All right. On the neck, if you're playing a right-handed neck, it's going to be opposite if you're playing left-handed necks. All right, so that's what that is. Now let's go to the next set of 3 strings. Okay, so we're not doing the 3 lowest strings. We're doing like the next to lowest. So we're going from G, D, and A. Well, the same thing applies. Okay, so think about what that window is. All right, that 3 fret window on 3 strings. Let's start with C. So C is on your 3rd fret of your A string. And here's your octave. Now this octave it's on that opposite corner of that window. You're going to reference the low C. Go over 2 frets. It's right there. All right. Now, when you go to the next set of 3 strings, like the next set of 3, there are like 4 sets of, if you're counting in threes, it's like four sets, is string B, string G, and string D. Well, now it's going to be a 4 fret span. Okay. It's still on 3 strings, but it's a 4 fret span. So now this window is not a 9 square window. It's actually like a 12 square window. Your reference note in this case right now is an F. Okay. So this is the 3rd fret on the D string, and this is an F. Well, the opposite location from where that F is in the opposite corner of that window. All right. And the same thing is true on the high set of 3 strings. Okay. So E, B, G. So if I play this B flat, I'm on the opposite corner of that window. Now, so that's explaining where it is. Now keep in mind, I chose that B. Now I can go to the opposite direction, okay? Since that B can also belong to the lower set of the 2nd set of 3 strings, okay? So this B over here play that here and here. Back to C, however, okay? So it helps to know how to do it going higher or lower. How to actually play it, like the mechanics or the technique of how to play it. You know, I explain either mathematically or geographically where it's located on the neck, but the technique of how to play it is another part. Well, I did explain that you have to maintain a hand shape in order to play these octaves, which is true. But using our G as a reference, which is the 3rd fret on the E string and or high E string, but I'm doing the low E string. And you rest your index finger on that G, but rest, like mute all the string under it. These strings should not ring out, but the low E should. I mean, it don't have to be perfect, but these shouldn't ring out like that. But rest, like lightly rest this index finger on all the strings lightly, but fully press that 3rd fret on the E string. Now place your pinky, and some people use their ring finger to do it. For me, it's more comfortable to use my pinky. Place it on the G that is in that opposite window, which is 2 frets over, 2 strings up, higher. Your goal is to only strike these 3 strings, which is this note and this note. And when you play them and you move them around, maybe you can start to slide 1 fret up. And I'm using my pinky right now. You could also use a pick. And you're sweeping it across these strings, playing them freely, but you're doing all the muting with this hand, okay? Now let's go a whole step. So you can almost, you can slide from one set of octaves to another set of octaves. Okay? You can play a scale with octaves. If you already know your scale, I encourage you to learn the scale. Okay, learn your major scale. Learn your minor scale. Okay, some people take that for granted and they just want to do leaps and bounds playing but not learning these basics. Okay, learn this stuff. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much how you play octaves. And if you're up on these higher sets, okay, the higher sets of octaves, just know if you're on that first set of 3 strings, it's going to be a span of 4 frets. Okay. And if you're on the next set of 3 strings, it's still a span of 4 frets. But when you go to that third set of 3 strings, you're down to a span of 3 frets. All right. And those are just windows that you're looking at to locate where each note is. All right. Those shapes can be moved around. I'm just using those I'm using those illustrations as references. All right. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like as well. I'm taking suggestions because otherwise I'm just going to search what other people are searching and then I'll upload that. Feel free to browse some of the links that I have below because those are some tools that you can use to help with strengthening your hands, enhancing your guitar learning experience, as well as recording videos. Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think I have added everything as far as octaves from a starter standpoint. And I hope this was a good starting point of you learning octaves, but it doesn't get that much more advanced than that. It's just getting better with your technique and maybe getting faster at it and maybe incorporating it in songs where if you're playing chords, you can start to involve some octaves. For example, I can play that. You may want to incorporate some of that. You know, that might work out. But it's very popular in the jazz music arena, okay? From an improvisational standpoint. All right, so I hope that this was helpful. Again, you know, leave a comment, subscribe, and check the links out if that's helpful to you. And yeah, let me know what y'all want to see. All right.